What if the next global flashpoint wasn't on land but water? A collision course brewing, not of course, but of superpowers. Buckle up, we're diving into a real-life geopolitical thriller brewing in the heart of the Indo-Pacific, the South China Sea. Tensions are high as the US and China locks horns over this strategic waterway, and things took a nasty turn recently. Let's unpack why the US is calling China's action dangerous and what it means for the region's future. Stick around to find out. A sea of claims. Imagine a giant blue piggy bank filled with trillions in resources and trade routes. That's basically the South China Sea, but guess what? China wants it all. They claim almost the entire thing, even parts that brush the shores of Vietnam, Malaysia, and the Philippines. And oh yeah, even Brunei. Talking about hogging the piggy bank. China's island building campaign is like a game of Tetris on steroids. They've dredged sand from seabed, piled it up on tiny reefs, and voila! Instant artificial islands complete with airstrips, military outposts, and even luxury hotels. Because why not? These islands serve a dual purpose, expanding China's perceived territory and acting as forward military bases. The 9-dash line. Think of it as China's invisible fence in the South China Sea. This U-shaped line encompasses almost the entire sea, stretching far beyond China's mainland coast. The problem is, there's no legal basis for it. It's like claiming your neighbor's lawn just because you drew a line on a napkin. Needless to say, other countries aren't amused. Adding fuel to the fire are the different legal frameworks at play. China insists on historic rights based on ancient maps of questionable accuracy, while other countries follow the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, which sets clear boundaries based on distance from lands. It's like trying to play Monopoly with two different rulebooks. Chaos ensues. Let's not forget the real treasure buried beneath the waves. The South China Sea is teeming with oil, gas, and fish. Resources that China, the world's second largest economy, has a ravenous appetite for. Controlling these resources gives them economic leverage and strengthens their regional dominance. What happens in the South China Sea doesn't stay in the South China Sea. The instability here ripples across the Indo-Pacific, impacting vital trade routes and alliances. It's like a pebble hitting a pond. The ripples reach far and wide, potentially affecting everything from global supply chains to military cooperation. Reefs, rockets, and rams. Remember those artificial islands we mentioned? They're not just glorified sandcastles. China has decked them out with military infrastructure, like long-range radar systems, anti-aircraft guns, and even fighter jet runways. It's like transforming beach volleyball courts into fighter squadrons overnight. China's Coast Guard operates like a fleet of territorial bulldogs, aggressively patrolling disputed waters and harassing vessels from other countries. They've been accused of ramming fishing boats, using water cannons on resupply mission, and even deploying laser dazzlers to temporarily blind Filipino sailors. Imagine lifeguard turned Navy SEALs with an itchy trigger finger. It's not just militaries getting tangled in the mess. China claims vast fishing grounds within its 9-dash line, restricting access for traditional fishermen from Vietnam, the Philippines, and other coastal nations. It's like putting up a no fish allowed sign on someone else's pond, leading to disputes, arrest, and occasional violence at sea. Beyond everyday skirmishes, China regularly conducts military exercises in the South China Sea, flexing their muscles with fighter jet flyovers, missile tests, and fleet maneuvers. It's like playing war games in your neighbor's living room, just to make sure they know who the tough guy on the block. This intense activity isn't just messing with international politics. It's harming the fragile marine ecosystem of the South China Sea. Coral reefs are being destroyed to make way for islands. Pollution from warships threatens marine life, and overfishing depletes vital food sources. It's like throwing a massive rave party in a coral reef reserve. The aftermath ain't pretty. Uncle Sam says, "Hold my coke." Picture this: American warship, sleek and loaded with firepower, cruising through contested waters like they own the place. That's exactly what the US is doing with its freedom of navigation operations. FunOps. These missions are a clear message to China. Hey, the South China Sea isn't your private bathtub. We can swim here too. Remember China's imaginary fence. American ships deliberately sail within its boundaries, testing the legitimacy of China's claims and demonstrating their commitment to open sea lanes. It's like poking holes in a paper wall just to see if it'll crumble. The US isn't shy about showing off its military might. They conduct joint exercises with regional allies like the Philippines and Vietnam, flexing their combined muscle and sending a clear signal to the deterrence of China. Think of it as two gym buddies lifting weights together, giving the neighborhood bully a concerned look. The US isn't going it alone. They've built a web of alliances and partnerships in the Indo-Pacific, like the Quad, US, India, Australia, and Japan. To counter China's growing influence, it's like building a neighborhood watch program to keep the bully in check. Beyond flexing muscles, the US uses international law as a weapon. They've actively supported the Philippines' legal case against China's claim at the Permanent Court of Arbitration in The Hague, a landmark ruling that declared China's 9-dash line to be without legal basis. It's like taking a bully to court and getting a restraining order against them. Of course, the US involvement has its own complexities and criticism. Some argue it militarizes the region and risks unnecessary escalation. Others question the US' own motive, pointing to its own history of asserting military dominance. However, there's no denying that the US plays a crucial role in balancing the power dynamics in the South China Sea. Escalation or resolution. Managing South China Sea tensions feels like a walking tightrope over disaster. With powerful forces at play, enemy steep could trigger a catastrophic conflict. The economic impact would be global. A disruption in this vital trade route could send shockwaves through supply chains, affecting jobs and prices worldwide. Both sides engage in cautious diplomacy and brinkmanship, akin to a high-stakes poker game with loaded consequences. Countries like Singapore, Indonesia, and Japan are advocating for solutions to prevent military clashes, much like concerned neighbors diffusing a family feud. Whether this conflict cools down hinges on China and the US prioritizing peaceful resolutions. Achieving this demand open communication, respect for international law, and trust, a scarce commodity on a world stage. Unchecked, rivalry poses to a great risk. The South China Sea's future and stability of the Indo-Pacific region hang in the balance. Resolving this relies not just on superpowers but on every nation's involvement in this critical diplomatic challenge. So, there you have it folks, the South China Sea, a boiling pot of geopolitical tensions with global implications. Keep your eyes peeled for updates because the story is far from over. And if you enjoyed this deep dive, click the next video shown on the screen. I'm sure you'll like it. Thanks for watching.